Hey College Success, this is your week 5 chapter 8 assignment video. So please make sure you have already looked at your chapter 7 and 8 lecture videos and your chapter 7 assignment video. So now this is going to focus on just the chapter 8 side of things. So you want to make sure that you post in the chapter 8 discussion forum and the chapter 7 by Wednesday for weekly attendance. The chapter 8 skills survey, the check-in is right there so you can see how you're doing with the concepts for this week. Your chapter 8 prompt says reflect outside your usual comfort zone and friend group, which means outside of like your family and close friends, because we tend to respond to those people a little differently than people who are a little outside those areas. So it says think of someone with whom you disagree and how what they have said to you, maybe during the disagreement, has had an effect on you. So maybe a coworker, an acquaintance, a friend who you're not incredibly close with. Did they use correct etiquette when saying what they said? In your response, did you make sure that you were heard correctly? Because remember, chapter 8 talks about communication and how we are both sending and receiving messages. So make sure you post your original response by Wednesday. Your chapter 8 assignment is going to open up right here, and this is called Communicating with a Professor. And so this is just a regular PDF. So when you go to do your responses, you can put them in a Word doc, or you can just click in here and create submission and type them right here. Communication 1, 2, 3. So what you're doing is you're looking at these 3 examples, and these are 3 examples that are not perfect or ideal ways to communicate. The first one being an email, so you can see it has the professor from Harry Potter fan, which who knows who that is, and then the subject, hey, and then you can read through the email there. Communication 2 is a text message with emojis, and then communication 3 is a face-to-face after the class when the professor is like in the hall on the way to a meeting. So there is something kind of either etiquette-wise incorrect, grammar, the mode in which it's used, anything really. There's a lot going on in each of these. So your job is to rewrite them so that they are following like correct etiquette and communication when you're in a professional setting. And if that means maybe you change one of them, you want to change it from a text to an email, or from face-to-face to an email, or anything like that. You can change the modality, or you can just say, okay, retype. So what you're basically doing is retyping the type of communication here. So if communication 1, you want to keep it as an email, you can keep it as an email and then retype it. Communication 2, if you want to keep it as a text message, you can, and then retype it. So maybe fix any grammar or spelling or any kind of usage that you see is not quite proper for the educational setting. And so that's what you're doing with communicating with a professor. Pay attention to email addresses, pay attention to the things that are used in each of these, the language that's used. So you're going to rewrite those messages, and then make sure that you submit that right here, or if you do a Word doc, you can upload it. All right, and then the last thing you're doing is your chapter 8 quiz. So it wants to know, question 1, if you're an outreach team and it wants to kind of come up with a presentation about everyday communication versus college communication, what would you include in that presentation? Question 2 wants you to reflect on Reingold's 5 literacies and talk about what is your most and least developed and provide an example. So you would look in section 8.3. You can scroll down and you'll see here, attention, participation, collaboration, network awareness, and critical consumption. Okay, this is talking about internet, online usage. So in your response, you should reflect something that has to do with online, or email, or social media, anything like that. Not like face-to-face type things, because this is all about online communication. And so you can read a little bit more about each of these in this area. It goes into more detail through each of them. Okay, so make sure that you take a look at that, because I've had students in the past where they answer this question as if we're talking about like a face-to-face communication. That's not what they're referring to. Online. Question 3 talks about communicating, speaking, listening. It says if you wanted to improve your listening skills, what are some strategies and why would they be helpful? Question 4, how would you know to make sure that you are being understood? Like if there's a barrier there, what do you need to consider when you realize you're not being understood by another person? And then question 5 is a scenario with a student, and kind of says she's in the back of the room, she's on the phone. What factors are impacting her professor to know that she's not interested, and how could she communicate a different message? So again, make sure you save that and upload it. And then when you're done, just make sure you've completed everything for Chapter 7 and Chapter 8, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great week.